Classification of polar equations. The following are some of the well-known equations in polar coordinates. In rectangular coordinates, the equation y equals tangent alpha of x, where tangent of alpha is y over x, the slope, is represent the line that goes through the origin. In polar coordinate, the angle is alpha. The equation is theta equals alpha. For the vertical line x equals a, in polar coordinate x is r cosine theta. So the equation is r cosine theta equals a. So r equals a over cosine theta, or r equals a secant theta. For the horizontal line, y equals b, but y is r sine theta, so r equals b over sine theta, or r equals b times cosecant of theta, represents the horizontal line. For the circle, in a rectangular equation, the equation is x squared plus y squared equals r squared, or a squared, where the radius is a. This is the equation of the circle center at the origin, whose radius is a. But in polar coordinate, it is simply r equals a. For the equation of the circle, whose center lies on the positive horizontal x-axis, the equation is r equal to a cosine theta, where a is the radius of the circle. If the center of the circle lies on the negative x-axis, then the equation is r equals negative 2a cosine theta, where a is still the radius of the circle. For the circle center lies on the positive y-axis, the equation of that circle is r equals a 2 sine theta, where a is the radius of the circle. If the center lies on the negative y-axis, then the equation of the circle is r equals negative 2a sine theta. The radius a is always positive. The polar equation of the form a plus a cosine theta, a minus a cosine theta, a plus a sine theta, a minus a sine theta, where the coefficient and the constant terms are the same. It represents the cardioid, whether it is sitting on the x-axis or the y-axis, on the positive or the negative side. The equation of the form a plus or minus b cosine theta, or a plus or minus b sine theta, represents the limacon. It is sitting on the x or the y-axis, depends on whether it is cosine or sine. Notice that b is a number between 0 and a. If the constant term a is between 0 and b, where b is the coefficient in front of cosine or sine, then the limacon has an inner loop. The polar equation of the form r squared equals a squared cosine of 2 theta, or r squared equals a squared sine of 2 theta, represent a limnoscate. It looks like an infinity symbol. The equation of the form r equals a sine 3 theta, or r equals a cosine 3 theta, represent the rose with 3 petals. Thus, r equals a sine of 7 theta, or r equals a cosine of 3 theta, represents the rose with 7 petals. Whether the initial petal sitting on the x or the y-axis depends on cosine or sine. If the coefficient in front of theta inside of sine or cosine is even, then the row has 2 times the amount of petals. For example, r equals a sine 2 theta has 4 petals. R equals a sine of 3 theta had 3 petals. R equals a sine of 4 theta would have 8 petals.